Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Tesco Joe Gallagher, Natasha Jonas's longtime trainer. He had this to say. He said, when you're a challenger in someone else's backyard, you've got to rip the title away. And she didn't. I think the controversy is the 97-93 card for Mayer. I don't know what that judge was watching. Even Sky's commentary. They're backtracking now. Dave Caldwell. Why was he commentating? Where was Farrell Crotch? Matthew Macklin? Guys that know they're boxing.
Is he implying that everybody who thinks Michaela won, is he implying that they don't know they're boxing because Sandy Ryan thinks she won, Ebony Bridges thinks she won, Ishe Smith thinks she won,
Barry and Shane McGuigan think she won? These are esteemed professionals in the sport of boxing. Are you saying that they don't know they're boxing because they think your fighter lost? Another esteemed professional, former cruiserweight champion Enzo Macronelli, reacted to Joe's comment saying, I never agreed with that saying that you have to rip the title off the champ. You don't have to win a certain way. You have to win more rounds, and that's it. And by all accounts and every quantifiable metric, Michaela should have won more rounds on the judges' scorecards. And that's the problem. They feel the judges didn't give Michaela a fair shake because the fight was in Liverpool and Natasha's the Liverpool fighter.
There are a lot of go-to cliches in the sport of boxing, especially for situations like this one when they tell you that close fights aren't robberies.
That's implying it was a close fight. I don't think it was a close fight. A lot of people don't think it was a close fight. Look around, pay attention.
Go-to cliches like, you have to rip the title from the champion.
That's assuming Michaela didn't. From the outside coming in with the long-range punches, the long-range right hand that she couldn't miss with, or mid-range to inside with the shorter, tighter hooks that were regularly landing, the left hook in particular, the counter left hook. It seems to me that Michaela did everything right, but it just wasn't enough for the judges in Liverpool.
What, you gonna play dumb? You gonna act like you don't know what a hometown decision is? And you've been in boxing for how long?
Kayla Mayer has since made a public statement that reads, thank you to everyone who came out to Liverpool this past weekend to support Natasha and me. It was a great event, a highly entertaining fight, and I appreciate all the love and support I've received regarding the decision. It's highly frustrating to leave empty-handed when I felt I did more than enough to solidify a win on Saturday. I know a lot of you stand with me on this, so thank you for having my back. I'm hoping Natasha feels the pressure and does what a stand-up champion would do in this situation, and that's agree to a rematch. I deserve it, the fans deserve it, and I believe her legacy depends on it. I'll take a couple of weeks to enjoy some downtime and hopefully be back with some good news for you guys. Regardless, I know I'm a threat to the welterweight division and promise to give you more great fights in the future. Heartbreaking is one way to describe Saturday's outcome, but currently, Michaela Mayer is in the process of touring Milan, Italy.
If Saturday's fight did anything, at least to me, it's made me develop a soft spot for Michaela because that wasn't right. She won that fight. Being disingenuous about it, it's not gonna work. She won that fight.
But unfortunately for Michaela, she may not get that rematch with Natasha. Natasha's already on record saying she wants to unify titles with Jessica McCaskill. For that, Jessica's got to make it past Ivana Habazin. But you see where Natasha's head is at. It seems to me that she won't run it back with Michaela unless it's a last resort, unless all other options fall through.
Then maybe.
Unfortunately for Michaela, controversial outcome or otherwise, she's coming off a loss right now, and you have to question what her future is at Top Rank, because in previous instances, Top Rank don't waste no time. When Elvis Rodriguez suffered his first professional loss to Kenny Sims, I think it was, they cut him. When Carlos Adames suffered his first professional loss to Patrick Teixeira, they cut him. They didn't waste any time. When Andy Ruiz lost to Joseph Parker in a close fight, they cut him.
You think they'll cut Michaela?
I think it's a distinct possibility. If she can't get a rematch with Natasha, Top Rank doesn't have a whole lot for her to do at or around those weights. What's she gonna do? Move up in weight again? Go to 154? See if she can get a title up there?
What's she gonna do, and what are they gonna use her for?
The hope would have to be that if Natasha doesn't give her an immediate rematch, maybe they can corner a fight with the winner of McCaskill versus Habazin, but they've got to pay to play. They've got to be willing to pay well to get Michaela that fight. And given that they've been outsourcing her to Queensberry, outsourcing her to Boxer.
She hasn't actually boxed in a Top Rank show by Top Rank in a while. They've been loaning her out.
She hasn't boxed on U.S. soil in close to 2 years now, and I don't think it's because of how invested Top Rank is in her and how much they want her on their shows. They've basically outsourced her.
And we'll see what they decide to do now.
In men's welterweight news, Angel Garcia believes Spence made a mistake by moving forward with the Crawford fight. What would he have had him do? Would he have had him avoid Terence Crawford altogether? Avoid him outright? Never do that fight? This is an insight into the mind of the PBC think tank, a PBC fighter, those affiliated with the PBC, and how their minds work. Angel Garcia, Danny Garcia's father and trainer, didn't necessarily feel bad for Spence, but he does believe that his handlers don't have his best interests as their number one agenda. If it was me, honest to God, I would have never taken that fight for him, Garcia told YSM Sports Media. He had come from a big accident. Dan should have beat him, but he didn't. He took a lot of shots from Dan.
So you would have never put Spence in that fight, huh? That must be why you never put your son in that fight, even after Top Rank offered you all that money.
Why they don't bring Machenko to 147? And then he could have 4 world titles like Canelo. 4 division champions, that makes him happy.
Right.
You get it?
No, I get what you're saying.
Like, what is the problem here?
Right.
Like, why are you worrying about PBC fighters?
Well, he's saying, well,
I understand they saying 47 will step it up, but he's a WBO champion.
Right.
You got 100 top WBO ranked.
Right.
100 people you can pick
Right.
out of. Fight your number one contender.
Right. I mean, they're kind of. Go ahead.
What you gotta understand, brother, is that everybody has their own lane.
Right.
PBC got his own lane. Barbarian. Everybody has. Why they worrying about PBC 47?
Maybe they have no one for Crawford to fight.
Yeah, but they got plenty of people to fight. You got WBO. I just told you that.
Right.
Angel Garcia. Angel's one of these guys that likes to talk. He likes the sound of his own voice. He likes to talk because he thinks he's a charmer. He thinks he sounds charming, that he sounds wise. All the while, all he's really doing is telling on himself. He'll get the whole neighborhood arrested if you don't shut him up.
When you say that you never would have put Spence in that fight, well, that explains why you never put your son in that fight, even though Top Rank did pursue it. $3 million, pay-per-view upside, do you remember?
We've been all through that many times over the years. The growing trend now is to disparage Terence Crawford's victory over Spence by bringing up the car accident. But since the car accident, he racked up 2 victories. I mean, you can't downplay it. He was good enough to beat your son, and he was good enough to beat Ugas and take his WBA title from him, so you can start worrying about the car accident as soon as he loses.
That's convenient.
And that's how a coward's mind works. It's all about the path of least resistance. It's all about taking it easy and staying on easy street.
What's convenient?
The glory that's associated with winning is salient, but Angel admits that he will always be prudent when it comes to the punishment his son or any fighter is in their taking. I know the fans wanted it because they pay for everything, but at the end of the day, you gotta worry about your life. Who's gonna visit you in the hospital when you're fucked up? Nobody. When you die a week later, they sold your shit or trashed it, and you know, Spence fighting Crawford before that horrific car accident, he had that option, but he wanted to put it off. Fight other fighters. Do a round robin on his own side of things, and he did that to his own detriment. If we go by Angel's logic that he was so disheveled after that car accident, he was not the same fighter. Well, look, he was good enough to beat your son, and he was good enough to beat Ugas.
And now you want to make excuses for him, saying that you never would have put him in that fight. That's why you never put your son in that fight, right?
Right. You know, I remember when Terence Crawford shared the ring with a then unbeaten Jose Benavidez. The Spence fans were saying that he struggled with a one-legged fighter, a guy who only had one good leg. We know how the fight ended. We know that Terence, he knocked him out, whereas Danny, years later, he shared the ring with that same one-legged fighter, and he couldn't knock him out. Years after that, Jermall Charlo shared the ring with that same one-legged fighter, and he couldn't knock him out. Terence Crawford did.
They like to trash Terence. They like to trash his resume. If you can believe that, there are still people doing it. Salty Spence fans that are mad they got it wrong, and that's how they vent. That is how they cope.
Jose Benavidez, an unbeaten Jose Benavidez on Terrence's resume. I mean, that can't be all that bad a win. Danny couldn't knock him out. Jamal couldn't knock him out. And he fought him at super middleweight, whereas Terrence, he took him out, put him down, and put him out. You think about Danny. Danny, who lost to Sean Porter, Danny, who lost to Errol Spence, and how Terrence beat the both of them.
Is that no good?
I saw one guy in the comment section of my previous video questioning Terrence Crawford's campaign at 140 pounds, asking what fighters did he fight there? He fought all the champions there. That's where he went undisputed. Stupid questions from stupid people. And even at 147, where he's knocked out literally every single welterweight he's fought. The Jeff Horn, the then unbeaten Jeff Horn, that made Manny Pacquiao look old.
The Sean Porter that beat Danny, and the Errol Spence that beat Sean.
Unappreciated. Underappreciated, even after he won the big fight, the biggest fight of his career, the long-awaited, long-anticipated Errol Spence Jr. fight, and even with that victory, dominant as it was, there is still an active effort among a lot of people, most of them Spence fans, to tear him down and tear down his resume, his accomplishments so far. I wouldn't blame Terrence Crawford at all if he decided to call it a career, if he decided to retire, that now that you're not on the hook to fight Errol for a second time, fuck it.
He's already very accomplished.
He is.
Lineal Ring Magazine champion at 3 weights, undisputed in 2, champion at 3 overall. If there's not another big money fight out there for him, I wouldn't blame him at all if he decided to retire.
Because they don't appreciate him. And as long as he's been an active fighter, they never have, they never will. They still won't. He's one of those guys that won't really be appreciated until years after he's gone and done with the sport. You know, he's that kind of guy, because while he's been here, all they've done is tear him down.
Been a fan of Terrence for as long as I can remember. He makes me proud to be from Omaha, Nebraska, which is saying a lot because I'm from New York.
But when he's fighting, oh, I'm with Omaha. I'm with Omaha 100%. Some fight fans here in America don't really like the best fighters, the best of the best. What they like is the dysfunction, the drama.
And the big talkers, whereas Terrence, he's not a big talker. He's never been a big talker. He does all his talking in the ring.
Where it counts the most. And they still tear him down. So if there's not another big money fight out there for Terrence, I would recommend that he call it a career, walk away, leave on top. And finally, in men's heavyweight news, ahead of the upcoming Anthony Joshua fight, Francis Ngannou says this time there won't be the element of surprise, and Joshua will be very prepared, perhaps more so than Tyson Fury was, because I refuse to believe, based on what I saw, that he took the assignment seriously and trained for it. While Ngannou lost that fight, it allowed him to have another major opportunity, a March 8th showdown with former 2-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua. I've been saying this from that night, but I was robbed, Ngannou told Daily Mail. But I think I also brought a lot from that fight, the top 10 and all that stuff. To be honest, I'm skeptical about getting involved in the boxing politics. I'm just here to figure out the good fights and to get them. What happens a lot is boxing politics control some fights and stop great fights from happening because everyone is concerned about the rankings or their positions. They need to win. Be at like 20-0, even if it means they haven't fought anybody. That's certainly not something I really care about.
He's right to have that stance because given his profile from mixed martial arts into boxing and how he performed with Tyson Fury, he's not a fighter that needs to climb up the ranks like other fighters to get an opportunity. He shouldn't bother with any of that stuff, really.
In combat sports, it's always risky to take a fight. There's a risk you can lose. Of course you want to win. When you want to be a world champion, you're going to have to face the most ferocious fighters, elite fighters, who have the same dream as you. To keep your dream alive, you have to kill somebody.
Francis Ngannou doesn't need a rank. To get a big fight, to corner one, he doesn't need a rank. Thus, he doesn't need to pay out sanctioning fees in order to be ranked amongst other heavyweights and climb up those ranks. He doesn't actually need that to get the big fights. Case in point, he got the Joshua fight.
And he didn't need some sanctioning body to order it or carry or to win some secondary or trinket version of a title, some regional version of a title. He didn't need any of that. And if the sanctioning bodies are trying to horn in, it's because they hope to siphon off money from his fights. Knowing that there's so much money involved, they just want a piece of the action. But Francis doesn't need them.
Well, which sanctioning body tried to horn in?
The WBC. After his professional debut with Tyson Fury, based on how he performed, they decided to rank him in the top 10, but they're not doing that for no reason. They're doing that because they hope to siphon off sanctioning fees from Francis's fights. Francis, who said, obviously, the most complex now is AJ, because I haven't fought him. I watched the fight and thought he looked good. He was showing all the right signs, even though Valine wasn't threatening anything at all. AJ did his job and did great, Ngannou said. Right after the fight, I started to think about what could be next. I realized next time there won't be the element of surprise. Now I'm exposed and everyone will be very prepared. Tyson didn't know exactly what he was getting into. That will make life more difficult. I don't think the hardest puncher means anything. Anybody can knock anybody out in the heavyweight division. The most important thing is to find your spot and know your punch.
He's smart.
I don't watch a lot of MMA, if I'm honest with you. I don't follow that sport, to be honest. All that wrestling and rolling around on the floor, stepping on each other's toes, putting one guy's butt in the other guy's face. It's just not my cup of tea. But what I take away from Francis, what I've learned about him so far, is that he's clever. He's clever, and he's a smart fighter. He's right to assume that he no longer has the element of surprise. Tyson Fury went in blind, and let's be honest, he didn't take the assignment seriously. You didn't go from a pointless Chisora trilogy to a fight with Francis because what you were expecting was a hard fight. But now that people have seen it, and they've seen that Francis can handle himself in the boxing ring to some degree, he no longer has that element of surprise. And he'll be facing a consummate professional this time.
Not an arrogant blowhard.
We'll have to tweak the strategy because Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, they don't fight the same. They don't even jab the same. Where Tyson Fury has a flick jab, a flimsy jab, a nervous jab. Anthony's got more of a stiff stick, and it's damaging when he lands it. There's more tension
And power behind that jab.
and he gets that arm out, and he's faster. He's faster and more athletic than he's given credit for. He's faster and more athletic than people think. It is a different assignment for Francis Ngannou.
He's got to tweak his strategy, rethink it, because this ain't Tyson Fury. That's what makes this whole thing so interesting, that there's a precedence for it, and it's two consummate professionals expecting a fight and not just one.